I'm good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty
Good.
good. So, moving into the outdoor season, how has the shift been for the team?
For which team? So I oversee the entire athletic training department. So I have 18 teams to worry about.
Mm,
So if you're talking football specifically, the heat is starting to build. It's Houston. So we're going into officially spring now, but we all know that there's no spring in Houston. It goes from
right.
cold to hot in the blink of an eye. But baseball, softball is outside, track and field is outside, soccer is outside. So we do a good job with our students and our student athletes and our student trainers. Water's everywhere, Gatorade and hydration. We'll monitor all the humidity and the temperature using a wet bulb, globe thermometer, which is the gold standard in environmental monitoring. So we do everything the right way, and then as the heat builds, we use the couple days to acclimate.
Mm-hmm.
So the students just go from 0 to 100 when it gets cold to
Right.
hot. They got to build up their endurance, build up their tolerance to the heat. I ran into Coach Jack in the hallway, so I had to follow him. But he gave the guys a lot of water breaks last night. The intensity level of football this year, this spring, has definitely picked up,
Yeah.
and I think the guys are seeing that. Had a couple crampers the first night when it wasn't very humid.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, they're not drinking enough water outside of practice. They're not taking care of their bodies the right way, getting enough rest, recovery, things of that nature. Gave them a bunch of water last night because obviously the humidity started to roll in after we had the storms this weekend. So from a football perspective, we're doing things the right way. Lots of water breaks. Making sure they get enough sleep, that kind of thing.
Right. Okay. And there wouldn't be no motion without y'all. So yeah.
No.
So another question I wanted to ask you was it's Trainers Month, right? So how can Panther Nation support you in the trainers?
Yeah, so March is National Athletic Trainers Month, and so we have a web page where you can give to the athletic training department. We use that money that is donated to buy extra clothes for our student trainers. We buy extra supplies for the different teams, whether that be recovery supplies, massage devices, things of that nature. So anything that can be given financially is a benefit to the student trainers. We're always looking for ways to incorporate partnerships outside of Prairie View. We partner with the agricultural department here at PV, and we've got an athletics partnership. We're trying to partner with the School of Public and Allied Health so that we can get an athletic training minor, so that students can come to Prairie View and they can graduate and go on and be Texas licensed athletic trainers, or they can go to master's programs and they can become certified athletic trainers. We partner with Houston Methodist to the point that they support us immensely, so that the offerings that we have here at Prairie View from a medical perspective really are on par with any Group of Five or Power Four institution. And so, we're not like a regular sport, right? Like you can't just come up and pay admission and watch us give out water and tape ankles and do rehab on a daily basis, right? So it's really that financial support, the donations that we get from folks that help the students, and then we just look for partnerships for the best that we can.
Most definitely, we have to support our trainers, man. One last question, I just wanted to ask you: can you share a little bit about your experience at Prairie View and how you got to your position you are now?
Yeah, so I'm entering my 15th year.
Mm. Congratulations.
Thank you. Funny story how I got started here is I was basically leaving the Cleveland Browns. And so when I was looking for a job, I was at another institution very briefly, and I got hired here at PV. And I started on December 20th of 2010, and I worked next to one young lady for 2 days, and then we went on Christmas break. And then when we came back from Christmas break, she went on maternity leave.
Oh.
So I literally was hired and I worked by myself immediately. And so back in 2010, I was the only athletic trainer we had. I had followed Doc Mays after he retired from here. John Mays is one of the grandfathers of athletic training. you know, he might not like the joke, but I like to say, you know, Doc Mays is so original that his athletic trainer's license number is 1. Because he's literally, you know, there's scholarships named after him.
Right.
You know, he set up so much of Texas athletic training and national athletic training that, you know, I could never follow in his footsteps. So I'm just trying to be a good steward of the program that he started. And, you know, even before him, there was, you know, John Harvey, who was down at Texas Southern. But so I worked by myself for about 1 or 2 years. Then we were able to build the staff, hire a second athletic trainer. Then we hired a third. And then we've just built the program continuously to where we now have 5 athletic trainers on staff full time. It's still not quite enough.
Right.
And I keep digging at AD Goff that, you know, the one aspect that we don't have compared to the Power 5 schools is we don't have the numbers. You know, we have the facilities, we have the doctors, we have the physical therapists, but there are 5 athletic trainers that are covering 18 sports. So, you know, somebody's got to do 6 a.m. soccer practice, but then they've also got to do 6 p.m. softball practice.
Right.
So when there's 5 of us trying to cover that much, it's really a grind. But none of us knew, or we all knew what we were getting into.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work, but it's a passion that we have, because, you know, giving preeminent health care to the student athletes is what we're here for.
Definitely.
And so I take pride in that we were able to build it from just myself to where we are today, to add the Houston Methodist, to, like I said, we have the preeminent care in the SWAC conference. I don't consider any other institutions on par with our medical coverage. And I don't say that as a swipe to them. I say that as an credit to what we've been able to build here at PV. By partnering with Houston Methodist, you know, had an unfortunate injury last night at football practice, probably going to be a season-ending injury, but the kid's being seen first thing this morning by the doctor. He'll have an MRI by the end of the day. Probably have surgery before the end of the week or first thing next week. So when you look at what we're able to offer with our orthopedic care, our physical therapy, sports nutrition, sports psychology, you know, the Prairie View Athletic Training Department, the sports performance department that we have here is unrivaled at our level.
Agreed.
So,
Well,
couldn't be more proud.
We appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you for having
do
me.
so much for us.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.